Okay, let's move forward. Let's talk about a team that you put pretty high up here, the Indiana Pacers. I've talked quite a bit about the Indiana Pacers this offseason. Did a whole podcast on them with Caitlin Cooper, essentially, because God, do I love Tyrese Haliburton so much. I love him. And I really like Ben Mathurin. I had him higher than most of the other public-facing draft analysts. And I had Chris Duarte. This is like the Chris Duarte podcast. I had him quite high last year, pre-draft. And then like you have guys like Isaiah Jackson and Terry Taylor, and like they drafted Kendall Brown. Like there are some weird, fun little pieces here. Where are you at on the Pacers as they continue to build this strange roster out?
Yeah, so super in on Tyrese Haliburton. And I think if there's one thing they've identified as a franchise, and I'm really glad that they've done it, it's when you have a supremely high IQ basketball player that can create with the ball in his hands, surround him with as much shooting as possible. I'm really, really curious to see how that plays out long term, because I think Mathurin is a fantastic shooter and a guy who's really good off movement and screens. Duarte, the same thing, or like they have Buddy Hield right now to be more of a veteran in that type of role. So a lot of different guys that can then fill that. I think Isaiah Jackson, Jalen Smith, a little bit, like developing pick and pop bigs and jumpers is fascinating to me. I think Isaiah Jackson's going to shoot it at some point in his career and be
okay.
I think that's going to happen. Like Miles Turner does that right now. Like all of these floor spacers around such a smart, high IQ basketball player turns them into a team that can maybe overachieve earlier on in their development, as opposed to some of these other teams we're talking about who it's about the natural progression, getting all of these pieces to gel and age and mesh together. Like Indiana is more so on that quick fix type of track, which may come in to be a little bit of a downside, because I do think they need one more piece to really turn into somebody really special long term.
Or they need Ben Mathurin to be that guy.
Right.
Like, and Ben has the athleticism to be that guy. He needs to improve as a ball handler, improve his pick and roll ability, but his athleticism mixed with his shot making ability, I think gives him a very high upside. Even if the floor is also pretty high with Ben because of all of that as well. He needs to lock in defensively and like be more accountable and just be just be better on that end. At the end of the day, he was not very good defensively at Arizona. It kind of drove me nuts, to be honest, but I still had him like fifth on my board because the mix of power, athleticism, and strength with shooting is very good for a guy that's 6'6" and has some length, and like you can see the outlines of a guy that becomes like a maybe not quite all-star, but like that, just that level below wing in the NBA. Here's what Tyrese Haliburton does. Tyrese Haliburton fast tracks the development of all of your players. Playing with Tyrese Haliburton is going to make life so much easier for the rest of your guys. And even let's say he doesn't fast track the development of someone, he's going to allow you to identify very quickly if that player is someone worth investing in, because he's always going to put his teammates in the exact position that they want to be placed in and that they're going to hit their utmost success in. The guy that like it just stands out so strongly to me, Terry Taylor's minutes in the back half of the season were awesome.
He's really good. He's really good.
Playing him is like a combo. He's a big, like you have to call him a big, right? Like he's 6'5", but like you play him in the dunker spot, you play him in like ball screen scenarios. The way that Tyrese Haliburton set him up for success and the way that Terry Taylor thinks the game as well is very simpatico with Tyrese Haliburton. And man, it's like, I don't mean this disrespectfully to Terry Taylor, who I think is like proven himself that he's an NBA player at this point. But you just think of it as like, if he can do that with Terry Taylor, think about what he's going to do with like other guys. Think about how quickly he's going to help you identify if Isaiah Jackson is a real dude, like with that athleticism, with those tools, because Isaiah Jackson, again, like Terry Taylor's brain is his tool, and we shouldn't underestimate that at all. But like some of the physical tools that Isaiah Jackson has, in comparison to someone like Terry Taylor, it's just on a different plane, right? Being 6'10", being a literal pogo stick that can like jump multiple times within a 2-second span and, get to the rim or, get offensive rebounds, things like that. You're going to learn so quickly because of Tyrese Haliburton on your team if Isaiah Jackson can be that guy or not. And if he's not, then Terry Taylor's right there. And Terry Taylor's someone who can average double figures, as he proved late in the season for Indiana. Like seriously, Terry Taylor's last 14 games, he averaged 12 points, 5 rebounds, shot 62% from the field just by playing smart minutes. I love everything about Tyrese Haliburton. I want to shout out Terry Taylor here because I don't think anybody watched enough Pacers at the end of the year last year to understand how good he was. But we should also just talk about like the actuality of what Tyrese Haliburton is. I mean, he's just so outstanding in every regard. I'm all in on the Tyrese Haliburton experience.
Well, and it's not just that Tyrese makes a guy like Terry Taylor able to play in that role and really succeed. It's that the infrastructure the Pacers have, because they have Miles Turner who can shoot it, because they have specialty wings who can dart off screens and provide really high level floor spacing. Like that's the lethal part of it. It's not just Tyrese. It's Tyrese with spacing. We were talking about Cade Cunningham and the lack of spacing that Detroit had earlier. Like if Tyrese is playing in that system, he's still making really, really strong plays. But if he's on the Pistons, Terry Taylor can't be that small pick and roll type of guy because there's too many help defenders ready to chip down on him in the lane. It's about the entirety of the system. And I got to give a quick shout out to Rick Carlisle, who's infamously like not a guy that plays a ton of young guys and doesn't bend his system and likes to have control calling plays. Like they ran a lot more pick and roll and played through Tyrese at the end of the year. He was able to give those younger guys a little bit of a run. I think that they're going to take that upward trajectory now as a result of that. But I think it also speaks to how special Tyrese is.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Think about how fucking genius you have to be to let Rick Carlisle like take his hands off the reins. Think about how smart you have to be. That's how smart Tyrese Haliburton is.
That's there's no better compliment to a young player than if Rick Carlisle says, "Here you go, go."
Yeah. Where are we at on Chris Duarte? I feel like he had the exact rookie season that we thought he would. Averaged 13 points, 43% from the field, 37% from 3, 80% from the line. I would imagine he's going to shoot well this year. He's going to be a good secondary creator, and he's going to play solid defense and just be that starting caliber 2-guard that the Pacers will want.
Yep. I mean, not to quote Dennis Green, but like he is who we thought he was. That's just, he is.
Yeah, which is great. It's a perfect player for them. Honestly, like I was debating, does he fit the age timeline of this young core? I don't know, but he fits the timeline of he fits the contract timeline that they're on, essentially. Like they have him for 3 cheap years. Look, if they get an offer that like blows you away and like blows the doors off the place, I do think you consider moving him just because he's 25 already, and you just he's younger than all of their guys. Like he's 5 years older than Ben Mathurin, which is crazy to say. He's I think 4 years older than Tyrese Haliburton. And you are going to have to make like very weird decisions here because of his age. But at the end of the day, you have to get bowled over with an offer to move Chris Duarte. And I would not do that yet.